Beloved, in Philippians 1, 3-11, Paul says, I thank my God every time I remember you, constantly praying with joy in every one of my prayers for all of you because of your sharing in the gospel from the first day until now. I'm confident of this, that the one who began a good work among you will bring it to completion by the day of Jesus Christ. It's right for me to think this way about all of you because you hold me in your heart, for all of you share in God's grace with me, both in my imprisonment and in the defense and the confirmation of the gospel. For God is my witness, how I long for all of you with the compassion of Christ Jesus. And this is my prayer, that your love may overflow more and more with knowledge and full insight, to help you determine what's best, so that in the day of Christ you may be pure and blameless, having produced the harvest of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ for the glory and praise of God. Now, beloved, this is more than just theology. This is Paul's lived experience. He is using theological concepts that we talk about a lot in a way that's tied to the grounded experience of the presence of God and the nearness of the Spirit to convey the presence of others that's even at a distance. So when it comes to lived experience, or technically what's called phenomenology, Paul in Philippians is offering us a beautiful lens for reflecting on the way we experience life, relationships, and spiritual growth. So if we're going to explore some of those key insights in this Advent season through a phenomenological lens, how we live and perceive meaning in our daily experience can be benefited by listening to Paul. Paul begins by telling us without question that gratitude shapes his experience for the whole of his life, and gratitude needs to shape our experience. He expresses great gratitude for the Philippians, saying he thanks God every time he remembers them. That's more than recalling facts. He's reliving joy and the connection he has with the Philippians. Gratitude, beloved, changes how we experience others and how we experience the world. It brings people into our awareness, even across distance. Who are you grateful for? And how does that gratitude impact your relationships? And then Paul gets into the metaphysics of time and growth. He has confidence that God will bring his work to completion in the culmination of all things, and invites us to think about time not just as a linear process, but as a journey of being and becoming. Growth unfolds over time, and the present moment is shaped both by our memories of the past and our radical hopes for the future. How does hope for the future shape how you're living in the present moment? And then Paul tells us that shared experience deepens connection, and not just any shared experience, that grace is shared experience. He's celebrating their partnership in the gospel and their mutual participation in God's grace by the Spirit, the synergy of the Spirit. For him, community is built through those shared experiences of grace, even when we face challenges together. That shared grace creates a bond that transcends circumstances. How have shared experiences of grace deepened your sense of connection with others, in good times and in bad? And then Paul is telling us that compassion is embodied love. We already know that compassion is not helpless. Jesus is moved with compassion. Paul says he longs for the Philippians with the compassion of Christ. That's not abstract. He deeply feels it. Compassion is an embodied experience that connects us deeply with others. It's a way of being present, even when we're physically apart. How do you experience compassion for those you care about? How does it bring them closer to you? And then he's profound when he says that love grows in knowledge and discernment. And he prays that their love will overflow with knowledge and insight, though, so they can discern what's best. Love isn't just an emotion then. It's a dynamic process. It's a way of being that grows through wisdom and discernment. It guides us to act in ways that harmonize with what truly matters between heaven and earth and our hearts. How do you allow love to guide your decisions and relationships in meaningful ways? And then Paul focuses in the last two verses on purpose and fulfillment and the coming of the Lord. He envisions a harvest of righteousness for the Philippians and for us that glorifies God. He reminds us that life is oriented towards a purpose. A sense of purpose shapes how we engage with the world, brings meaning to our daily actions, and gives us direction. What harvest are you cultivating in your life? How does your sense of purpose influence your present choices? This entire passage invites us to engage more deeply with gratitude, shared grace, and purposeful living. Paul is reminding us that our experience of time, relationships, and love is dynamic, not static, because God the Father, through Christ by the Spirit, is continually shaping us, and through compassion, discernment, and hope, is inviting us to live fully and meaningfully.